This is the Man Up Podcast, a doctor's guide to men's health. Each week on our podcast, we interview the top specialists of the field on various topics in men's health. You have questions that you are too afraid to ask, we have the answers. This week, our episode is titled, Eat Good, Feel Good, How to Improve Your Dietary Habits. I'm Dr. Kevin June. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Dr. Justin Dubin. Justin, timely episode for us, at least at the time of this recording. It's Thanksgiving week. What's your plans, man?
Thanksgiving week. I plan on going home, seeing the family back in Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Going to eat a lot of bad food, a lot of unhealthy food.
Man.
'Tis the season, right? Kev,
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I'll actually be seeing my family. We're all meeting up in New York. Also going to be, binging on some food. Probably not the healthiest food, but going to be eating quite a lot,
Right. And this is a good conversation to have. We're going to be talking about healthy diet, healthy options, healthy habits, because right now, this is where, Thanksgiving, the holidays, we're going to just be eating like crap for a while, honestly. But when it comes down to it, we want to start developing those healthier habits when we come out of this time, or we may actually get some tips on how to kind of cut calories and have some healthier options in these situations too. So I'm very excited for the talk today.
Yeah, I agree, Justin. I mean, it's all about making like good habits, right? Life, especially with diet, it's about good habits, and I'll tell you, it's one of the hard things for me to keep a good one in because I break into those cycles where I'm just wondering what am I doing with myself, So.
Yeah. So, this is the hardest part. So I think if we can get some tips and tricks, we will be much better off. So
Absolutely.
I'm very excited to introduce Cara Axelrod. She's a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and a sports nutritionist. She's in private practice at Your Dietitian for Life. You can find her at her practice. Thanks, Cara. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get chatting today right before Thanksgiving and, hopefully leave everyone with some healthy habits and so we don't feel too full going into the next holiday.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great idea. So let's start it off. Now, for most guys, what do you think is the biggest dietary mistake that we make? I'm sure there's a lot, but maybe you can name a couple for us.
Yes, of course. So most men that I work with, I'm seeing the same problem over and over again. That could be skipping breakfast, running out of the house, and then grabbing whatever they can find, then working super hard all day long. Maybe they have a 10-minute break to eat lunch, and maybe they're skipping lunch. By the time the afternoon, evening rolls around, then they're starving, they get home, and it's just the floodgates open. They open up the fridge, they get everything, and the calories just are consumed so many calories at that point. And then, they watch Monday Night Football, have some beers, some popcorn, some chips, and it's just calorie overload. So really not having any structure or thought of what they're doing throughout the day and just in that grab and go, get whatever, and not really having any kind of plan, which is what I'm seeing most men struggle with lately.
That sounds like my day yesterday. Monday Night Football, had a few beers.
So then how do we fix this? So like you're saying, I should wake up, I should have something. And this idea of just like grabbing whatever is obviously not good, but maybe what are some good grab and go kinds of foods? What's a healthy option for people like us on the run, the patients that you talk about that are on the run?
Absolutely. I really like that question. And that's something I talk about a lot with my clients as well, because realistically, we're all busy, we're all running around, and we can't plan and have the perfect diet every single day of our life. So I am actually really big on having your go-to items, whether it's a protein bar, some fruit with you, Greek yogurt, and then understanding what kind of options when you are out at maybe a restaurant, a gas station, like what you can get that's going to be calorie controlled, portion controlled, and a healthy option. So if we're talking about breakfast, like starting the day off right, I really like smoothies. I think they're great. 1 minute in the blender, some protein powder, some milk, some fruit, boom, 1 second, you're done. Nice. Or a protein bar. They have some really good ones on the market right now, and we can talk about that. a little bit
Yeah,
later.
well, just quickly about, yeah, all right, well, we're already there. Like what am I looking for in a protein bar? Just quickly.
So you definitely want to have low sugar. So probably under 5 grams of sugar, maybe around 200 to 300 calories, 15 to 20 grams of protein. With the fat, I'm not really too concerned. There's no like number you should be looking for, but something that's going to be balanced. So it's going to have some protein, some fiber, low sugar, and moderate calories. And you definitely want to stay away from anything that, when you look at the nutrition label, is like very, very processed. And if there's artificial sweeteners in there, you might also have like a really hard time digesting it, and you can get stomachache and bloating. So look for ones that are more sweetened with like stevia or erythritol. That's one of the better ones than some of the sorbitols.
That's great info, because I'm not gonna lie, I go into the store and I look over and I see all the like kind of buff guys looking at the label, and I'm looking at the label, but I got no idea what I'm looking for, but I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at it just to feel it. But thank you for that information. That was very helpful. Now I know what to look for.
Yeah. There's so many on the market these days. It can be tricky to navigate, but that's why just making sure the calories are moderate, the protein's high, and sugar is low.
Nice. All right. So look, one of the things that I battle is that if I'm trying to lose weight, I can't decide in my head what's more important. Is it diet or is it exercise?
I'm with you, Kev, on this one. I mean, we talk about it with our patients too, right? Like, so this is actually important for us to counsel patients as well.
Yeah. So diet is always, always, always going to be the most important thing instead of exercise. Even if somebody is on the treadmill for an hour a day, but still not focused on their diet, it's just never going to work. And, I hear it all the time as well. Like, I'm trying to lose weight, so I parked in the back of the parking lot and I'm walking, a few extra steps. And I'm just like, that's been such a myth, like thrown around for so long. But the reality of it is that parking at the end of the parking lot and walking in is going to burn like 6 calories. So it's so insignificant. And then just paying attention to your diet more, controlling it more, is going to have such a greater effect on your overall weight loss and health than thinking you can out exercise a bad diet.
If you had to put it to a percent, like diet and exercise, like it combined is 100% for weight loss, what percent would you give it for like exercise versus diet? I don't know if that's a hard question or not.
Well, it depends. If we're talking about like elite athletes, that's a little bit different, but just for the average everyday person, I would say like 85-15.
Wow.
90%.
Diet is important.
Yeah. Unless you're like an Olympic athlete, swimming 8 hours a day, or competitive,
neither me or Justin are there.
No, definitely not us.
But general population, the diet's gonna be way more important.
All right. So, everyone, and you were kind of talking about it in the beginning, like everyone, including myself, sometimes you're after dinner, you want like a late night snack, maybe before bed. And there's like, I don't know if it's a wives' tale or it's a fact, like eating like an hour or two before going to bed is even worse for you.
Yeah, my wife tells me that all the time.
Right? Like the calories count more for whatever reason. Is that true? Is there like a certain amount of time that we should be not eating before we go to bed? For example, we have patients and they pee a lot when they go to bed. We tell them, 2 to 3 hours, don't drink anything. Is it similar for eating stuff in terms of caloric intake, or if it's being stored in your body or anything?
Yeah, so I completely disagree with that. And I think that myth started a long time ago when, you would just think rationally, if you're eating right before bed and then you're sleeping, you're not being active, you're not burning no calories, so they're automatically going to be stored. But the reality is we need to look at days as like a 24-hour window. So think about your total daily calorie intake for that 24-hour period. So if you're working really late and instead of having dinner at 6 o'clock, now you have to have dinner at 9 or 10 o'clock, but you're still getting your balanced protein, carbs, it's not going to matter. And similarly with the snacking, let's say your body needs, 2,200 calories to maintain, and you've eaten 2,100 calories, and now it's 10 o'clock at night and you want another 100 calorie something, whatever kind of snack, totally fine. It really makes no difference. Now, on the opposite side of that, if your calorie, for the day, you need 2,200 calories to maintain. And then it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and you've eaten 2,200 calories. And now you're eating chips and candy and popcorn. And now you're at 3,000 calories. Then you're going to have a problem with over time putting on weight, just because of the fact that you're having an excess calorie intake, but not necessarily because of the fact that you're like eating past 7. So to answer your question, it's multifaceted. It depends what you're eating, how much you're eating. But in general, I never tell my patients any kind of time limit where they just like done for the day.
So on that note, on the actual what we're eating, for the longest time, I think, Justin has told me that he really likes Sun Chips because he told me that they were really healthy. Because they're,
says low fat, okay,
or fat free on the front of the bag. I see him in the cafeteria. That's what he does. He always takes that. Same thing with like microwave popcorn. So what are some foods that we think are good for us, but are actually bad for us?
Yeah, so definitely there's quite a few out there. I think right now what's super trendy, and I mean, I'm personally just like blown away with how many options there are now for milks. I don't know if at the grocery store you've seen almond milk, soy milk, pea milk, banana milk, cashew milk, oat milk, walnut milk, the list goes on. So all of these milks are trying to replicate cow's milk, whether it's taste, texture, nutrition facts, but they're making us have this notion that regular cow's milk is bad for us and we need to have the almond milk. And when you look at almond milk, it's really just like 1% almonds and the rest is emulsifiers, or artificial sweeteners, water, gums, additives and preservatives and things like that to kind of mimic that mouthfeel, the taste, the texture of real milk, but it's not healthier. It's very low in protein. Most of the almond milks these days have added in the calcium and vitamin D, but I think it's one of those things that people are just like running towards at full speed, these plant-based milks, and most of them for the most part are not very healthy at all. With that being said, if somebody does have like an allergy or something and needs an alternative milk or just wants one, there's a place for that, and there's some good ones out there, but for the most part, I would say stay away from those. Same thing with, going down the ice cream aisle, I'll see all these alternative ice creams now, like keto ice cream or
Halo Pub. Is Halo Pub okay?
Halo Top. I love Halo Top.
That one's good, right?
I like Halo Top, yeah.
Yes, that's what I have every time.
Yeah, I'm not like going on a healthy grocery shop and then I see I think Halo Top or Enlightened came out with a keto line. I'm not like, oh my God, this is a health food. It's keto. I just look at it like, oh, it's a lower calorie option than the others. I'll take it.
I just like the idea of eating a pint of something.
Yeah.
And it's like 300 calories. So
amazing. I love it.
It's great. What about acai bowls? Are those healthy or not healthy?
That's going to be healthy if you make it yourself or what's being put in it, because a lot of those places, they're going to put like this much acai in the blender with a cup of sugar and honey and I don't know, whatever they put in those. And then they top it with other really high calorie things like granola, more honey, bananas, more oatmeal. And you'll end up having this acai bowl that instead of your healthy little snack or something is now 1,600 calories. And like, but I'm eating healthy acai bowls every day. Why am I gaining weight? And it's for that reason, because they're just loading them up. But if you make them at home, you can do it. You can make them a lot healthier. So I know Publix sells like the frozen packs, and I do it in the blender with some ice and banana. The Vitamix is really good. So
are nuts good for you? Like nuts, like cashew nuts or almonds, are those good for you?
Absolutely, but portion size is going to be very important. So for some things like almond, the serving size, it's like 8 to 12 almonds, or whatever you can fit, like a small handful. So
definitely eat too many of those.
I mean, that's the problem, right? Portion is the problem for everything, I would say, in America, right? And maybe what are some tips to improve our portion control? Because that's something like the mindset is, if I go to a restaurant and I leave the restaurant without feeling nauseous, I probably am not going to be happy. So how do we change that or fix that, at least in our minds, or fix that going out to a restaurant or something?
Yeah.
Just in
So,
general.
oh man, I could talk about this for the entire length of the podcast, but I guess the first thing would be like, before you even get to the restaurant, like going throughout your day, like let's say you're eating at 7:00 at night, you know, don't skip your food all day long thinking, yeah, I'm going to this restaurant, I need to eat as much as I can. Still eat regular meals and snacks leading up to the dinner time. So when you do get to the restaurant for dinner, you're not like, you know, that feeling like, oh my goodness, I got to eat everything.
But what if it's like fogo de chao?
What?
All you can eat.
What if it's like fogo de chao and it's all you can eat?
Those, I mean, yeah, those are much harder to navigate. But,
Yeah.
you know, all the things that, you know, that we hear, right? Drink water, fill your plate with vegetables, choose some lean protein, like 4 to 6 ounces, eat slowly, but really when going out to eat, anywhere you go, and this is something that I'm really passionate, is anywhere you go, you can find a healthy meal. Anywhere is going to have, whether it's a nice side salad, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, carrots, you can drizzle some olive oil on it and throw some chicken breast on it, or some salmon, or some, you know, some turkey. They'll make it for you. Like literally anywhere you can go, you can find a healthy option. And then, you know, even if you're at like an Italian place and you want a big bowl of pasta, well, you can have pasta, have, you know, like a fistful, and have a piece of chicken, have some veggies, and, you know, say no butter, no oil, or just light on the oil. If it's cooked in a cream sauce, like just say, maybe I can get some red sauce, some tomato sauce instead. So just kind of going into the situation, being mindful that chances are they're going to give you a lot of calories, but you can always, always, always find a way to eat healthy, even when going out to eat.
I think that's so important. That's a very great point. You know, for our listeners, you know, like just because you're going, you know, you want to eat healthy, all that stuff, doesn't mean you got to stop your like social life. Doesn't mean your life has to be like just at home. You know, you can go out to restaurants, still be with friends.
Mm-hmm.
You can do things to make sure that you know, eat healthy still. So I think it's really important for a great point for our listeners.
Yeah, and I never want anyone like to feel deprived. So even if you are out and your best friend's having something that's amazing, like have a bite, have 2 bites, have 3 bites, have, you know, a little bit, but still have your lean protein, your salads, your complex carbohydrates, and that's the way you can make it like a lifestyle. And, you know, or let's say you go out to eat every single day, order a healthy meal most of the times, and then here and there have what you want. If you're doing the right thing most of the time, you'll see the results.
Yeah, someone told me once, no one's gotten obese by, like, when it's coming to the holidays too, no one's gotten fat by going crazy on one day on the holidays. Like, it's just not the way it is. So like, you don't have to feel bad about a one-time Thanksgiving binge or a one-time Christmas binge, but obviously these things pile up, like you said. So it's being mindful, which is really important. So I agree 100%.
Yeah. And to go off that also, with Thanksgiving, like you said, even the research will show that just one overfeeding meal isn't going to really have any long lasting impact. Granted that the next day you wake up and you're back on track. I think what the most problem is when people get those leftovers and they keep eating, and then because they're eating all those good things, they want more, and then Christmas, and then it's that compilation. But if you eat pretty much healthy going into Thanksgiving, enjoy your meal, don't eat yourself sick, and the next day wake up, drink some water, go on a walk, and back to regular. Your body's going to naturally regulate. Well, at least for most people, those hormones, the satiety hormones will kick in, and metabolically you'll be a little bit more active because you've gotten more calories. But usually for the most people, one meal isn't going to really have much of an impact at all.
Now, would you bring up leftovers? I think that's an interesting point. In the last few years, one thing I changed is I made a rule for myself. Whenever I go to a restaurant, I don't bring leftovers home. Is that something that's okay? Like, I'm like, I don't want to eat anything because it's like, this is my time to shine. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, I love that, honestly. I mean, unless you start wasting a ton of food, but I mean, I do like that concept of when you're home, you're eating healthy, and then when you go out, you enjoy yourself, have your meal, and then send the rest, to go. But out of sight, out of mind. So yeah, as soon as the unhealthy stuff comes in the house, like whether we think we're in control or not, it's there and it's tempting. So I definitely like, that idea of not bringing home leftovers.
All right, cool. Just saying, think about it.
Your mom would be disappointed that you're just wasting all this food, Justin.
Someone else can take it.
Oh, that's true. All right, fine. Fair. That's fair. So, on Thanksgiving Day, there's a lot of football. I'm going to be drinking some alcohol. So if I'm calorie conscious and I still want to drink, because I'm going to drink on Thanksgiving Day, what are my best and healthiest options?
Good question. Yeah, this is something I think is really important to talk about. So light beers are always going to be okay.
Really? Shocked.
Well,
it's probably better than regular beer, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I don't know. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, like they have these beer in Michelob Ultra, I think, 55 calories. So, it's going to be better to drink a 55 calorie beer than, a margarita that's, 1,200 calories worth of sugar and sweets. So I definitely, recommend that. Also, just, plain liquor with maybe some, like, vodka, Diet Coke, or Crystal Light, something with no like adding a mixer with 0 calories. Tequila, lime, soda water.
Are they the same amount of calorie? Like, is it the same caloric intake, like vodka versus tequila and whiskey? Are they like around the same? Do you know if, I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty much around the same. Like, cool. I think like 50 to 70 calories per ounce, but don't quote me on it. But
no, that's fine. But as long as they're similar and wine has a lot of calories though, right?
Yeah. They all differ, slightly. I think even with champagne, Prosecco is a little bit lighter than that. They're all going to vary, but yeah, just choosing drinks without added sugars and make sure you know exactly what's in it, and staying away from like margarita mixes because those can add up really quickly.
They're so delicious too.
Yeah. I really like what's it called? Spicy Palomas. Have you guys heard of those?
Oh, they're so good.
Those are
they're
delicious.
So good.
Yeah.
That's like grapefruit juice too, right? It's grapefruit juice.
Yeah. It's some tequila, like 1 ounce of tequila, and then I'll just like squeeze grapefruit juice, some sparkling water, jalapeno, lime, and then like sea salt around the rim. So everything in it is very light and it's like very refreshing and spicy.
Quick question then, that just reminds me, when we're talking about juices, like juices in like that you buy over the counter are not good for you, right? Like if you're going to do juice, you want fresh squeezed juice. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I think a lot of those like naked juices, have you seen those?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah.
Those are really high in calories. And for the most part, yeah, they're all just, they've taken out the fiber and you're just left with, processed sugar. Well, not processed sugar, but think of apple juice, for example. You look at it, 1 cup's 140 calories, 28 grams of sugar.
It's a lot.
Right? They're just take an apple, slice it up and eat it. And that way you get some fiber and it hasn't been processed or anything like that. Or if you have a high speed blender, you can just throw in some fruit and make your own. But for the most part, yeah, I would say all of the juices in the juice aisle are pretty bad. And then in like the fresh food aisle, they'll have like the kombuchas and they'll have all those juices. Kombuchas, I'm definitely okay with. I enjoy those. But a lot of those,
I like kombuchas.
Other juices are very high in calories.
So on the note of drinks, because I just want to settle this right now, because I'd always have lunch with Justin, and sometimes I was trying to be quote unquote healthy, so I'd grab the like it would say like 40-gram protein shake out of the it was like a pre-made shake, and Justin would be like, "That's unhealthy for you. Like it's got a lot of sugar." And I think he might be right. What do you think about these pre-made protein shakes? It had like
20 grams of sugar in it.
I think it said 20 grams of protein. I'm pretty sure it said protein.
Yeah, I mean, I love protein shakes. I think they're phenomenal. If you also had a meal that had like 6 ounces of chicken or something like that, then you don't really need it. But you're probably not storing it as fat either. Your body does a really good job at getting rid of the proteins without storing it as fat. It actually like barely ever does store protein as fat. But So I don't mind them. If you're having that protein shake, like between meals, let's say you had breakfast 3 or 4 hours later, then you have a protein shake 3 or 4 hours later, then you have your meal, probably be a little bit better, because who knows how much of that protein in that meal could be absorbed, plus a drink. You may have had 70 grams of protein, so then it's kind of just like wasting it.
Gotcha.
So often protein drinks are not good meal replacements. They're usually a supplement. That's
Yeah, well, I would have a shake if you're not having a meal. If you're having a shake with your meal, chances are you're just going to excrete it out. Or not excrete it out, but just the benefits of having the protein aren't really going to be put to use, because it's just your body can only take in, well, I think the science has been a little bit updated with this, but at one point they were saying like 30 to 40 grams of protein at a time. And then that's why we recommend spacing it out every 3 to 4 hours. So then you digest it, and then you have another shake 3 to 4 hours, you have a meal 3 to 4 hours. So
awesome. All right. So there's a lot of talk about, we talked about a lot of dietary things and choices, but when we're talking about a lifestyle or a dietary lifestyle, as doctors, we see, and we talk about the Mediterranean diet a lot, which is, I think it's mostly fish, it's fruits, vegetables, legumes. But there's a lot of other ones out there. There's the low carb, there's Atkins, there's keto. Can you just give us a general comment on, like, first, I guess, the value of the Mediterranean diet and maybe how it stands compared to these other things, whether they're good diets to follow or not?
Well, yeah. The Mediterranean diet right now is definitely like the gold standard among researchers, dietitians, nutritionists, physicians, and the literature does support it right now. It's like the healthiest diet you can follow, and it's very basic. It's tons of whole grains, olive oil, salmon, fatty fish, much lighter on the red meats and the dairy, actually. So just less processed foods, get rid of the processed foods, whole grains, low fat meats, and olive oil, nuts and seeds, and beans and lentils. So that's it in a nutshell. And across the board, it is shown to all those health benefits, even improving, cholesterol. And I've seen it you might be better to talk about this than I can.
Disease, but everything, decreases heart disease, diabetes, all that stuff. Weight loss, sustaining, all of that stuff. It's shown huge benefits in, for sure. But what about keto? Because I feel like that's like the hot.
I feel like everyone's saying.
I think Kevin did it. Kevin did it for a while. He's done the intermittent fasting too.
Yeah, I have done that too.
Yeah,
he's a believer in that. So what about those?
So I actually, in my last job, I actually ran the keto program, but it was only for pediatric children with refractory epilepsy who failed 2 or more medications. And with that being said, it would, for the most part, stop their seizures. For people who look from the keto diet for me for weight loss, I'm just very much against it. I just think anything that is too good to be true there's a lot of risks associated with the keto diet. Aside from like the metabolic acidosis, like the medical stuff, higher cholesterol, things like that, it's just not effective. The reason why it works for a lot of people initially is because anytime you're taking a whole food group out, you're naturally reducing your calories, and then you're going to lose weight. If I'm eating 17 servings of carbs a day and then I take those away, I'm going to lose weight. But with that being said, also something I should probably say is that people will see a lot of weight loss in the beginning, and it's because when we eat carbohydrates, our body stores them in our liver. Well, they use it. Our body uses the carbs for fuel. If not, we store it in our liver or our muscle as glycogen. And then glycogen holds water. So every 1 gram of glycogen holds 3 to 4 grams of water. So basically, when you cut off the carbs, you are dropping so much water weight so fast.
Makes sense.
So people will say like, oh, I started a keto diet 3 days ago. I'm in ketosis. I already lost 5 pounds. And that's just because they fully depleted their glycogen stores in their liver and their muscle.
Right.
and with that, all that water was just shed. So it's not real body fat. It's fluid.
It's fraud. It's fraud. It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, yeah. And then there's also like the people are like, oh, I did the keto, or the guy who is on keto ran the 100-mile marathon and he won. And I'm just like, it's such an outlier. Think of all the other Olympic athletes who are not following keto, who are doing amazing.
Right.
You know,
and he's also like a baseline genetic specimen.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are all things to consider. So thank you for debunking that.
Yes.
I think we're at our time limit here. So I do want to really thank you, Cara, for joining us today. This was awesome. I learned a lot. I think Kevin's no longer going to have these
the keto
crappy
diet.
protein bars.
I'm changing everything about it.
Keto diet. I'm going to start snacking healthy at night, not sun chips anymore. So this was really great. Appreciate you coming on. To everyone listening, please, you can watch us now on YouTube. Please download, subscribe to us on YouTube, leave a review, a comment on our posts. You can also listen to our podcast on any podcasting platform, and download, subscribe, give us a review there. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to always reach out to Kevin or I on our social media platforms as well. Until next time, thanks for listening. For Kevin and Cara, have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.